Welcome to Pole Hook Golf, the podcast, hosted by Matt Cook and Mike Perez.
Well, Mikey, we have a very special guest today, Mr. David Leadbetter, and I can't believe we've made it to episode 3, or what we're going to call is round 3 now, because as we look at a tour event, right, we play 4 rounds. Sometimes there's Monday, if there's a Rocco Mediate Tiger Woods scenario for a U.S. Open on
we
a
made the
broken
cut.
leg. Yeah, absolutely, we made the cut, but I want to hear from you really quick, Mikey, and part of this introduction of bringing on Mr. David Leadbetter, the famous Mr. David Leadbetter, one of the best coaches in the world, has taught a million PGA Tour pros. Everybody knows him if you're in the golf space. But Mikey, how do you know Mr. David Leadbetter? And then if you want to go ahead and give him a brief introduction.
Sure. First of all, David, thank you for coming back. Actually, I call him DLB. I know it sounds silly. Why do you call him DLB? I go, well, it's DLB, David Leadbetter. You know, so I think I'm probably the only one that calls him DLB. So that's what makes it so great. Anywho, I think, David, DLB, and we met a long time ago when I worked with Carl Welty, and my brother was working with Welty and Jim McLean at the time. And then we ran into David and met David back in the day. I remember seeing him, it had to be 2001 at final stage of Q School. It was my first year that I made it to finals. And he was with Ty. So that's when we kind of really met. And then during that week that was back when Q School was 6 rounds of final stage on 2 courses at Bear Lakes. So we were there for 14 days basically. But that's how we initially met. And then we ran into each other at the American Cancer Society event last August, which he was the honorary guest. And we started talking. He followed us around for a good 6 holes, and we were just shooting the shit. We had a great time. He told me what I was doing wrong, and he fixed it instantly, and it did work. Still working. I used it today, as you can tell.
Not shocked. With a resume like...
But it works. He was right. It was grip. A lot of it was a grip. I don't know if you remember DLB, but I do. A lot of it was the grip and just kind of getting in the right spot. But that's pretty much, we could go back to 1990. I'm going to say I was 12 or 13 years old when I was working with the great Carl Welty, and Pat was working with him and Jim McLean, and you were involved. It was like the big 3, right? It was you, McLean, and Welty, and I forgot who the other one was back in the early 90s. There was one more great coach.
It could have been Jim Flick. It could have been...
Yeah, it could have been Flicky.
Yeah.
It could have been definitely Jim Flick.
We really... Jim McLean, myself, and actually Dave Pels. We sort of the first 3 coaches on the Golf Channel.
That's right. That's right. Well, we love to have you on, and thank you so much for coming on. It's great catching up with you. You and I have been talking.
And I love the title of your show. How do you call it Pull Hook instead of Push Fade?
I wish I wanted it to be called Double Cross, but Matt came up with something a lot better.
I've been fighting the pull hook my entire golf career.
Yeah, see, I haven't. But I agree with you, DLB. I go push cut. That's the miss.
I always tried to play the push draw, and my God, did that turn into a pull
But
hook?
We're relating with the other golfers that pull hook most of their shots. Yeah. Boy, did I hit a few today too. I should have got on film. And body stopped. I didn't trust the knee, and I just dude. But it played good though.
Well, one of the big reasons why we wanted to have you on, David, is because some of the philanthropy that you've been doing within the sport, and there's a specific story that we really want to talk to you about.
It caught my eye
to Ukraine and the situation that's going on over there. And I'll let you take it from here, David, because it's such a great feel-good story, and we're just so grateful that you're here to share it with our audience and with us.
I loved it. As soon as I heard it, I texted him right away and said, so, David, please tell us about Misha.
Yeah, this young Ukrainian golfer whose name is actually Michael in Ukrainian. But his shorter version is Misha Golod, and Golod. And I actually, how I found out about it, I mean, I'd heard his name. Obviously we're very involved with junior golf. We have our own junior full-time academy, and his name was sort of being thrown around a little bit here and there. And he played over here. He actually played in the Orange Bowl last year, and at the age of 14, and he finished sixth, which is pretty damn good when you consider that most of those kids are 16, 17 from all over the world. So he's got some game. But anyway, I read the story by Joel Beal out of Golf Digest talking about Misha and saying that, here's this young kid. He's, potential star from the Ukraine, because they have very few golfers, very few golf courses. And so he said he's down in the basement there 3 or 4 times a day. They can hear bombs, bursting, and so, and he lives in Kiev. In fact, his golf course, the Russians are actually encamped on his golf course at the moment, because it's just outside of Kiev.
Wow.
So they took over the clubhouse, and so, I mean, and the story went on a little bit, say he's trying to get out of the Ukraine. The fact that he's like to come to America. He was thinking about going to Boca. He'd spent a little bit of time down there in the past. So I thought, this is an opportunity. I mean, just from a humanitarian standpoint, see if I could try to help somebody. I mean, it wasn't no other reason than say, hey, let's see what we can do. And I called a friend of mine, a guy called Jim Nugent, who's on the board with me of the AJGA. I said, Jim, would you like to get involved somehow? And Jim's he sort of knows everybody. He used to be one of the chief writers for Golf Weekly, and now he's got his own internet magazine called Global Golf Post. And so he's a very influential guy in the golf industry. And he said, yeah, let's see what we can do. So we got, lo and behold, with my contacts and his, we got hold of quite a few people. I mean, the AJGA got involved. They started a GoFundMe. Probably before that, I should explain how he got out of the country. Let me before we get to that. And so they figured, okay, where were they going to go? Because north, south, east, or west. I mean, the Russians were coming in from the east, and so they figured they were going to go west, go through Poland. Go through Hungary. Excuse me, not Poland, more north. They decided, okay, what they were going to do. I got hold of him just through the internet. I mean, I had his email address, and I wasn't sure whether he was going to answer it, whether he even had internet. I got hold of him, and actually then I spoke to him on WhatsApp and got what the family was planning on doing. And the dad was going to drive he and his mum to the border. His dad wasn't able to leave, because if you're under 60, you have to stay there. You got to, you're in the military basically. Yeah. So I mean,
you got to fight.
Wow.
So they wouldn't let anybody of that age leave. So anyway, so his dad they took 2 days, I think over 2.5 days to get to the border, going through all these military checkpoints. They had tanks, Ukrainian tanks going by them, sort of, on the roads. I mean, pretty scary situation.
Sure. I can't even imagine.
I mean, they'd already had a big bombardment of Kiev, it's so they actually got to the border. He thought it was a little quicker than they thought, in actual fact, and because I think more people were going through Poland than they were through Hungary. Anyway, so they got to the border. His dad couldn't join them, and so he and his mom they went to the airport at Budapest. They stayed at a hotel overnight. They then flew to London, and the next morning they flew from London to Orlando, because I said, hey, we're going to get you sorted out here. You just get over here and we'll figure it out, So
that's great.
Anyway, we went to the airport. They got in pretty late, and so fortunately he's had a tourist visa, which enables him to come over periodically just to play tournaments, So excuse me.
Drink that vodka.
So anyway, it's not as strong as what you're drinking there, but that's okay.
Well, vodka's stronger than this.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so we got him here, and his mum was here she came with him for a couple of days. So anyway, we met Misha, and I said, okay, hey, we're gonna help you out here, Misha. We're gonna get you enrolled in our junior academy. You're gonna stay with Angela. She's gonna be your surrogate mom over here.
Angela's
and his mom was named Vita and the dad's named Oleg, but Vita, literally she's only here for like 24 hours. And so she seemed pretty happy. I think she just wanted to see where Misha was going to, and she felt extremely happy. And so anyway, cut a long story short, I mean, we had all these people involved. We had the USGA, they donated money. We had the PGA Tour, they invited him up to the players, and he went up there for a day and a half and actually got to play it the day after the tournament.
Oh, no kidding.
But, so he was
at Bay Hill too, right? Wasn't he at Bay Hill?
He was at Bay Hill. He was.
Yeah, I remember that.
But he got announced on the first tee, and it was pretty special. I mean, he's a very mature kid too. I mean, he listened to him and it's like, man, this kid is way, way, way beyond his years. The way he speaks and the way he thinks, and I mean, he's
kind of like me when you remember me back in the teenage.
Yeah. That's right. Exactly. Yeah, he's actually, Misha is a golf nerd. I mean, and I say that because he knows everything about everything in the game. I mean, you can ask him who won the US Open at Marion. He'll give you the date. He'll give you the player. He'll tell you who finished second. I mean, it's like, wow. He goes back 25 years, and it's like, oh my goodness.
And he's a teenager.
The kid's a historian.
Exactly. That's impressive.
Yeah, he loves the history of the game, So, and so he's really settled in really well. I mean, say we had, I'll finish up this. AJGA ran a GoFundMe. We had individuals put some money in. We had Country Club of North Carolina, where he played the US Junior last year. They made a pretty nice donation.
That's great.
Golf Digest got involved. Callaway got involved.
Good.
And
I love Callaway for that. They're really always.
We were tough on Callaway last week with the whole Phil pausing, but
well, that's the different story. But Callaway has always stepped up.
Yeah, Chip Brewer and Tim Reed really stepped up to the plate there, and so he's going to be one of their NIL players. The new ruling where young players can basically get a little bit of money and they can get all the equipment, which
like the college football deal stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the amateur status rules have really changed now. And,
good. Gosh.
And so it's
I always collect.
He's been well looked after. He's having fun. And to say that, ironically, we actually have a Russian kid that goes to our academy, and they get on like a house on fire. I mean, it's really amazing.
Wow.
And so it just goes to show, if you had kids running countries, or possibly women, we wouldn't have, some testosterone idiot, over in Russia there trying to force his ego and issues on everybody else around the world. But I mean,
the guy's sick.
Not to get political, but I mean,
it's okay.
I can't believe though that this all took place from you reaching out and jumping onto a WhatsApp call, or even just texting.
It was
technology.
Amazing.
Isn't that great?
If you believe in karma, something. And as I say, he's such a good kid. In fact, my assistant Angela, who you met a little while ago, I mean, she's going to adopt him because he's a good cook too, as well. So
no kidding, and some different kind of food.
Multi-talented. So he's finishing off school. He's doing online school, actually with his teachers in Ukraine still for the next couple of months. I mean, they're all over the place. One of them came to America, a couple of them in Hungary and Poland. And so he's doing school, does the schoolwork in the morning, and attends the academy in the afternoon with the kids. And so we've got some tournaments lined up for him coming up. There've been there's a great tournament down in Naples, a guy called Danny Glass, who runs a Naples amateur tournament where they've got 19 of the top 25 juniors in the country playing. And so
that's great. That's
got a couple of HAGA events to play in. So he's happy, but you can see at times you can see him sitting, and you can obviously know what's going on in his
probably
mind.
Kind of very similar to us with our 9/11. It's probably very similar times 1,000.
That might be the only thing that we can really tie.
That's true. That's true.
We even have I do think that it's beyond that because
it is beyond that for sure.
It's such a catastrophe as to what's happening, and it's so big that we can't grasp it. Like we really can't. We
don't really know what the news is really telling us. I mean,
it's like ethnic cleansing. I mean, and to say unfortunately, it does happen all over the world, and you don't hear about it as much, obviously, because you can't imagine in the year 2022 in Europe that this is
happening.
Right?
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
I mean, kids and women and old people.
It's awful.
It's indiscriminately bombing, and I mean, it's like
1942 all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and we are dealing with another
and it's,
idiot at the helm.
Yeah. Well, you get these maniacs out throughout history, who really can, one person can brainwash, a nation, right?
That's crazy. And then I saw it was like $40 for a cheeseburger at McDonald's in a Russian airport, or $36 there. Something what I've been reading and stuff.
Yeah.
What they're doing in Russia and in Ukraine. I mean,
the thing is, what a lot of people don't realize, like Misha, they speak Russian at home.
Right.
Yeah. So it's obviously Ukrainian Russian, but they're, because of the Soviet Union in the past, so many people obviously were the Russian language was predominantly spoken in all the countries that were part of the Soviet Union. So his grandparents, his parents, they learned Russian, and it's like Russian against Russian. I mean, the whole thing's nuts. I mean,
it is crazy.
It is crazy. I mean, it's like I just don't get it, but I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I think it's awesome that he's in the academy. You and your team, and I know it's a group of people. Yes, sir.
I mean, the way they portrayed the beginning was like I sort of hired Rambo to go in there and extract him. It wasn't quite like that. But I mean,
I wish we still had Rambo.
But we were able to sort of direct him. And the exciting thing is that his buddy, his name's Timur, I should say, Timur. I've forgotten his last name. I can't spell it. It's a long one. But anyway, he got out as well, and he's now heading to Sacramento, to Northern California. Mike Moreland and Northern California Junior Golf Association have taken it upon themselves, and the community is really jumping in there. And Mike going to put he and his mother, who's a tennis coach, going to put him up at their house and looking at schooling. So it's nice. It's really nice to be able to help somebody through the game of golf. I mean, golf, you think about it, hey, yes, it's exciting now. Look, I mean, obviously what happened with the match play and Scotty Scheffler and the Masters coming out and Tiger. But, but what we're talking about, Ukraine, that's life.
That's life, yeah.
This is not, we're not talking about sports and things that people do in their leisure time.
Yeah.
And, having the good fortune to be involved in the golf industry. I mean, those people over there, I mean, they're dying. I mean,
they're only showing us pieces of it too on the news. I don't watch the news anymore. I stopped. I can't take it. So I read it instead.
Well, the great thing
about pages.
The great thing about sports, right, is that it brings people together. And that's what I love about the golf industry, is that there's just so much philanthropy and charity that goes on, and giving back to the community. Yeah. And this is just one of those great stories that I just don't think that there's been enough of a spotlight put on. And I know that you're humble in regards to, obviously, you're doing this out of the genuineness of your heart. You're not looking for media. You're not looking for promotion or anything along those lines. And you brought in a lot of great organizations to help out within this, and you've changed the kid's life. I mean, this kid could be, I mean, I hate to be morbid here, but in the near future, if this continues on, who knows what could have happened, right? And bringing him over here, it's awesome.
I was very thankful to say Joel Beal, who's one of the lead writers at Golf Digest, actually how it happened, because my daughter works for Golf Digest as well.
Oh, that's right.
Hallie. So she got hold. I said, "Hey, can you get hold of Joel for me? I need to get hold of this kid." And that's how the whole thing started. It was like a snowball effect,
That's
and
great.
so so hopefully it's going to be a happy ending. That's
sure. And who doesn't love a happy ending?
Which kind of leads us into.
It's a great thing. I mean, is he DLB? Is he going to play the tournament in Palm Desert? You and I talked about it briefly.
Yeah, he's looking at his schedule now. Because the thing is, normally, obviously, his mum and dad attend with him, so we've got to, we can't have him flying all over the place, a 15-year-old, on his own. So,
well, if he can get here, he can drive with me, and I'll take him out there, because I'm going to play in it in the Southern California. What is it? Cal State Open.
That might be more dangerous than him staying in Ukraine.
Cal State Open. At it's in Indian Wells. I'm gonna play it. I mean, I can't wait. So if he,
and what date is that?
It's in May. It's May, I think it's after my holiday, Cinco de Mayo.
That's my
it'd be the
birthday.
6th, 7th, Cinco de Mayo.
Oh yeah, Cinco de
Oh
Mayo.
my gosh.
Or Cinco de Drinko is what they
Cinco de
usually call it
Drinko.
around my birthday.
Well, that's what you guys.
Yeah.
I'm a Mexican, so I could say whatever. But yeah, so I want to say it's a week after that, and then we have the tournament out here that the Gateway Tour puts on at Talking Stick. So there's two great events with. So if he needs, me,
we'd take care of him.
We'll take care of him. He could come up to Quintero. Quintero would. I played.
That's
golf
the range
with,
in the background, by the way.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
the Quintero range there. Did I take that today, or you took that?
You know.
I think I took it. You took it. Oh, Poe did. Yeah, Poe did.
No, I did.
Oh, you did. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
This was back.
DLB, you'd love this course. This course is unreal. It's the
Really?
number one
It's
rated
my favorite course
in
in
Arizona. Public. It should be private, but it's just out in the middle of nowhere. The greens are always great. But DLB, this place is unreal. It is up. So it's probably 40 minutes from TPC Stadium.
Okay.
So
It's in the middle of
north.
nowhere.
I don't know if you know where Lake Pleasant is.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Have you heard of Lake Pleasant? So it's 15 to 18 minutes past Lake Pleasant.
I know that Phoenix area pretty well. My wife's.
Yeah. So you take the 17 north, and then you get off on Carefree Highway. You take that to about
Are you
35
giving
minutes.
David Leadbetter directions to Quintero right now?
Well, if he comes here and wants to go play there, then he's going to drive with me, and then he's going to drive me home. So see where I'm going with this?
Fair play.
You
need the DD.
DLB. I'll call you GPS.
You love DLB because I'm the only one that calls you DLB.
That's
you
true.
love that.
That's true.
I mean, you do have two consonants in your last name, so I have to DLB.
Now, David, you have taught so many great pros, and one that hits home for me that I remember because I throw out Binghamton, New York all the time because it never gets anything at all.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah,
besides IBM.
And there's a reason why the BC Open moved outside of Endicott, New York, and the BC Open at Enjoy Golf Course. I'll give them a quick little shout out. But with that said, the BC Open was my favorite golf tournament because I grew up in the area.
You're right there. It's like
Now,
me and Torrey Pines.
one of your students that was also a phenom junior golfer and was all the hype back in the day. And I walked the ropes with just watching him shot by shot throughout an entire round is good old Ty Tron. So Mikey's telling me that there's a little bit something here in regards to Ty. So I just want to open up and see what's going on with Ty lately.
Well, let's say in many ways it's a sad story because here was a kid who sort of had it all. I mean, talk about talent at a young age. I mean, it really was. I mean, I suppose it's a case of having too much too soon and not knowing how to handle it. I mean, but it's, obviously getting his tour card when he was 16.
Unreal.
It was just incredible, really.
I was there with him that year. I was there at Bear Lakes with him at finals that year.
And so he was a kid that just, you could see from a very young age. I mean, he played with my son Andy a lot. They sort of grew up together. And Ty was like, he was around our house all the time, and we went skiing with the families. But Ty had, even at the age of 6, you could see that little something about him. The way when he got in a bunker and he'd sort of, he
dug his feet in.
Dug the feet.
He's like a little pro, at the age of 6. And so, and his dad sort of, they actually moved down to Orlando then, and so we got together. So I spent probably maybe good 10 years with Ty off and on.
Yeah, you worked with him for a long time.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, such a talent. He got very strong. He got he was a strong kid. I mean, sort of reminded me a little bit of an Anthony Kim type player who was very he was a very brave player, very aggressive player, and golf actually came easy to him. And so when he got on tour, I mean, he had some unbelievable contracts, with Callaway and
Target
and Boss, and it was just as if he got on tour. He actually had an injury too. He actually hurt his ankle, which was sort of,
I remember that,
hindered him somewhat, and. He just, the thing is, he was just too young. He was immature to play the tour. I mean, look, talent, yes, you need talent and the ability, so no question about it. But you also need the smarts, right? And so I just don't think he was managed particularly well in those early years. I mean, he needed a minder with him. He had a great caddy.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Mike, what's his name?
I know exactly who you're talking about because
Stuart's old caddy, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Anyway, so he had a lot of things set.
He had it all lined up.
Yeah, but he just, when he got out there, he was so unorganized. He was like, I remember I was in Vegas at the Las Vegas tournament, and I think it was maybe 5 rounds back then. I can't remember. Anyway, whatever. It was the day before the first round, whether it be Tuesday or maybe Wednesday. I can't remember. But anyway, so I'm watching Ty hit balls on the range, and I said, okay, so what time you play tomorrow? And whatever the time was, he said 1 o'clock. So I said, okay, so why don't I see you here about 11:45 then? Because it was a 2T start, I remember, because he was off 10. So I said, okay, I'll see you here at 11:45. So 12:30 comes and Ty's still not there. So next minute I just see him there. There's a cart rushing down there, and he's got, he gets there with 20 minutes, literally 20 minutes to spare. I said, Ty, man, what happened? Where the heck you been? I mean, you not only have you got no time to hit balls, really, but you're on the 10th tee. It's another cart.
It's way out there.
What the heck? He said, I got up this morning. This is true, Scott. He said, I got up this morning. He said, I just found I didn't have any clean laundry. I had to go and do laundry this morning. That's why I'm running late. So anyway, I mean, maybe that was an excuse for
That's his sponsor's fault for not sending him enough clothes.
Whatever, yeah. And I'm saying, okay, Ty. I mean, I don't know if that was an excuse for something else. Who knows? But that
seemed logical at the time, probably.
He could have been at the.
Who knows? He could have been,
at the Rhino.
Yeah, he could have been claiming he was 19 or something. But
I'm gonna go with the Rhino.
But that's the sort of thing that you look at. A kid has to be. I mean, it's the organizational skills, the maturity skills to play on tour with these guys who are so good. I mean, look, if you looked at it from a pure talent and skill level, you say Ty should have made it. I mean, there's no question. So, and then sort of the recurring injury, and I think it became a little bit mental, and he played some whatever what it was Sunshine
Tour. I played on.
Well, didn't he have like a second stint? I recall like the media being like Ty Tron's coming back, and
he came back, but he didn't. He just wasn't the same. He
wasn't.
He just wasn't the same. And I mean, we try to help him out. I mean, he played the U.S. Open at Pebble, and he was like, he got married. He married young. I mean, he's now 30. He's probably 36 or 37 now. Ty, he's got
he's a couple years younger than I am.
That's crazy.
I'm going to be 38, so he's probably 36, 35. 36.
He's got a 15-year-old son, so you had that to look after the family. And so, I mean, Ty for a while, I mean, he was working in, I don't know, Home Depot or something. He was doing some stuff here just to make some money. And he had a sponsor who was trying to help him out. And then he sort of went over to China to sort of babysit some, I mean, he went all through. He's
gone through a bunch of hoops.
That's a bunch of stuff, And I mean, I saw him, I saw him maybe 6 months ago, and I spoke to him not so long ago. And
good.
I said to him, if you love golf still, which he still does, he loves to play still. I said, we could easily offer you a coaching job at our academy, because I mean, how good would that be? I mean, he's been through all this, going, and he could advise, he could, help guide kids away from certain things. He could,
correct.
Just the insights, because that's experience.
Absolutely.
Most people don't have that.
Yeah, at that age too.
Yeah, and he was sort of, a little wishy-washy about it, whether he wanted to do it or not. So, I haven't spoken to him for a few weeks now, so I'll probably have to get him back in touch with him. But he's a great kid. I mean,
he is.
You cannot not like Ty. I mean, he's very personable, and he had certainly a bit of a dysfunctional family in many ways. But, I guess you make life, you make your own life, and you make your own way in life. Yeah. And as I say, it was just sad that sort of ended up like that, because he certainly, I mean, if you look at just from a pure talent standpoint, I mean, you ask the guys, you ask the Anthony Kims of the world, you ask the Sean O'Hares of the world, who were sort of his sort of era, right? I mean,
right.
He was tough to beat in AJGAs and at that age. So
I remember being there with him. You were there, Bear Lakes, that final stage, the year he made it. I remember that was the year. What's the kid's name that hit it? All he had to do is make like bogey or double on the last hole, and he hits a cart path and goes on the roof.
Was that
Bear Lakes?
It wasn't Hank Keeney, was it?
No, it wasn't Hank. Goddamn,
that's who I was thinking.
Goddamn Hank. Yeah,
he used to hit it a mile.
No, he
was.
Thornton.
Was it a pole hook?
I played on. No. It was a second shot. It was a second shot on 18.
I might remember it.
What is it? Devil's Claws on across the street, right, or something like that. Panther Lake.
Right.
So, but anyway, I forgot his name. It was so long ago. And that's the year my brother won final stage, and then Gary Nicholas finished second.
Yeah.
I'll get into that. I don't even want to get into that. Yeah. But hit the cart path, goes up on the roof, and misses his cart, just like Bud Still on 17 on the last round of the day or of the week. He clips his ball with his spike. He misses his PGA Tour card. Now I got Buddha and Ty Tron on the Nationwide Tour with me the following year, or Buy.com back then. But there's so many stories like that, Matt, that, I mean, when Joe Daly hits the back of the cup and it pops out. Todd Dempsey, all he had to do was 3-putt. Pops out.
Listen, golf is a game of life.
Pops out on the last hole and hits the back of the cup.
You're going to have bad breaks.
Jackson Brigman. Hits the back of the cup and
they're all
comes out.
Lessons. Mikey, they're all lessons. All lessons to learn.
I would be so fucking livid. You have no idea.
Same here. And
if the ball hit the back of the cup and came out and lost my tour card,
I would have been depressed. There's plenty of times to where this game has absolutely humbled us. But I'm curious.
DLB, I mean,
how many times did Joe Daly think of that putt?
And he slams his hat down, and I would be pissed too.
Absolutely,
I would have done a lot more than that.
Yeah, this game
back then, not anymore.
It's given a lot, but it's taken away a lot too. I mean, hey, let's think about poor Jan van der Velde, right? What it did to him.
Oh my gosh!
That's just
that
plays on the Golf Channel every year.
Everybody has their own opinion of things, of what are you thinking, this and that, and nobody knows until you're in that position.
Numb. I mean, he was probably numb. He probably wasn't thinking.
I mean,
somebody else did.
That was a disaster.
Said, how many times do you think about the 18th hole at Carnoustie? Said every day.
Every day. How can you not?
There's no way you couldn't.
Yeah. I mean, and then look at Ben Curtis. I mean, the guy wins it, and hey Ben, where are you?
Ben, I thought somebody came to your door
go, Ben?
Real quick.
Ben, where'd you go, Ben? I mean,
talk
about a fucking fluke.
So you take so much time and effort into somebody like Ty Tron, right? There has to be a level of frustration, or are you just such a pro at this point to where it doesn't wear on you? But to see that level of talent, and there's only so much an instructor can do, right?
Yeah.
But he was more than an instructor.
Yeah.
There were hurdles, there was obstacles in the way of that.
You're more, as I say, you're right there.
Yeah.
Mike, the fact is, I mean, you're a friend, you're a confidant, you're a psychologist, you're a cheerleader,
you're everything.
You're all so everything's combined into one there. If you're gonna help players, and it takes a lot of energy from a coach. I mean, you got the greats like Butch Harmons and so on. I mean, it takes a lot of energy to sort of get into these guys and girls' heads, to get them to believe in themselves and to play at a peak level. It's not easy. Sure. I mean, it's not
easy.
When they get there, they're not sure why they got there. It could be a bit of luck, could be a little something, could be, and everybody's searching, right? I mean, it's a continual search, this game. So it's a mystery in many, many, many respects. But
I agree.
It is. I mean, look, I mean, you have to be, as a coach, I mean, you've got to get to a point where, look, all you can do, you can't play for the player. All you can do is help, guide, and cajole, and you can
be positive.
And offer sympathy when empathy, and and you just hope that the player in themselves has it deep inside to sort of be able to get out and be able to do what they can do. Because look, you walk down the range at a PGA Tour event and look at these guys strike it. You think, well, how can he, or why is he 200th in the world?
Right.
The guy next to him who's 10th in the world. It's like, what's the difference there? It can't be that much difference. But
right in between the ears.
So yeah, right. That
You're right.
wide fairway.
I get it, Matt.
That wasn't a dig at you,
I get it. I was terrible back then.
Listen, I know why I never made it as a professional golfer. It was right in between those ears.
The hard 6 inches, right, David?
I remember a story. Player I won't mention, but anyway, we have to deal with players' wives too.
That's the worst part. You should not.
That was my next question.
Here's the thing,
anyway, I'll finish
listeners. Do not ever listen to players' wives. That is pointless. Look at Patrick Reed. I'll let you go, DLB. Now you got me fired up.
Well, hey, they're all different, but
they're all idiots.
Anyway, the wife calls me out, and this is a lot of years ago. She said, "Hey, listen, we'll call him Jimmy. He's really having some problems. It's affecting our marriage at home, the way he's playing, and he's really upset all the time. And is there anything, because I saw he was sort of a player I saw periodically. It wasn't like somebody I saw every week.
Was he getting laid? That's half the battle."
Right. Anyway,
I don't think David's ever been asked that.
No, he hasn't.
Not a normal question on the golf.
No, sir. Anyway, but we're not normal.
We'll forgive you. But anyway,
thank you, sir.
I said, listen, and this was at the time that Bob Rotella was really coming to the forefront. Okay, so Bob Rotella, I knew well through one of my students and good friends, Dennis Watson, back in the day. He was really the first tour player that worked with Bob on a major basis, and he really helped Dennis. And Dennis won probably 3 tournaments after starting working with Bob. And so anyway, so I said, let me introduce them to Bob Rotella. And she said, I said, he's a sports psychologist. It's great, hey, if anybody can maybe help him and get inside his head, it could be,
Him and Jay Brunza, right? Him and Jay Brunza were the two
right. Yeah, Jay was obviously Tiger's original guy. And so anyway, I hadn't seen the guy for a while, and I'd seen sort of, back in those days, right? We didn't have cell phones and stuff. You got
a pager,
and you had to,
right,
sort of call people. So it wasn't like you're on 24 hours, you're online, right?
Right.
With somebody and so
no rangefinders, no nothing.
No rangefinders.
We walked our numbers off.
I used to call up with different accents to the press tent to say, "Hey, hello, my name is Vijay Kumar from Delhi Times. Could you please tell me how Nick Price is playing today?"
Don't you cross double me, fuck. Don't you cross double me, fuck.
Run off and get the scores, and it was like, I did the same.
No.
When she was playing on the LPGA tour, I'd have all these different accents.
That's great.
And the guy, instead of saying, "Hey, listen, why, you damn shit, why you keep calling me? I'm busy. I can't do this." There was no live scoring back then, right?
Right. There's nothing.
Anyway, so let me get back to my original story. I digress. And so
we digress often.
So you digress.
You're fit right in.
I happened to sort of looked at his scores, and he was still missing cuts and stuff. And he said, so I said to him, "Hey, how's it going?" When I actually saw him at a tournament, I said, "I'm still missing cuts, but I'm a lot happier about it." So that was like, okay, well, maybe Bob's starting to work here, his attitude. And he did start to play a little better after that. So,
Jeez.
I actually remember that.
It's shocking, so much between the ears. Remember
it's always between the ears.
I remember when Scott Verplank, I think he won the Western Open back in the day, right?
Oh, there's a name that I haven't thought about in a long time. Yeah.
Didn't he win the PGA too? Or the Players?
No, he didn't win the Players. No, but anyway, Scott, I remember all Bob Rotella told him to do, listen, regardless of what happens this week, all you're going to do is smile. Okay, I don't care if you 4-jacket, you're going to smile. So, and sure enough, you had this big old goofy smile, you know.
Yeah.
And he won the tournament. He won the tournament. You know?
Yeah, like Cooch.
I don't know if it
tool bag.
I don't think it lasted till the next week, but I mean, for that week, he was happy. So,
No shit. So he was happy missing cuts.
Well,
He's the only PGA player I know that's happy missing cuts.
I remember that being the quote that actually got ran.
He didn't want to jump up a bridge anyway, So
yeah. That's fair.
Gosh.
Listen,
good for him.
This game can make you do that.
Shit, it can make you do a lot of things.
It can definitely make you do a lot of things. Obviously you have taught a lot of PGA Tour pros.
Yeah, work with them.
Yeah, what is the difference in terms of, because like you hear about in other sports, like going from being a college basketball coach or a college football coach to the professional ranks, and all of a sudden you got egos, you got people that you have to deal with and so forth. What's been your experience as far as what you have seen from the difference from a junior golfer and working with them, because you work with a lot of junior golfers and then you work with a lot of PGA Tour pros. So I'm curious as to what that dynamic difference is.
Well, you see something in them at a young age. It might not be fully brought out at that stage, but there's a little something they have. They're a little different. Could be their focus. It could be their determination. It could be their work ethic. I mean, as you know, Matt, Mike, the makeup of every top player is very, very different. I
Absolutely.
And the people around them.
Yeah, and I haven't seen two exactly the same. I mean, you can't carbon copy these people. I mean,
right.
I don't care. If they're twins, they're never going to be the same. It's like they think differently.
Well, that's a good analogy.
And it's
true.
It's one of those things that talent is inherent. Absolutely. I mean, there's no way you're going to reach the top if you haven't got talent. I mean, it's channeling that talent and how. I mean, you've been around the game long enough, there, Mike.
Yeah,
I mean, how many great ball strikers have you seen over the year? You think, why did that guy not make it, or why did she not make it?
Why did he make it and I didn't? Is what I asked.
There you go. Yeah,
that's what bothers me.
I mean, there's a little bit of luck involved. I mean, you sort of, you strike lightning, lightning in a bottle type thing, as far as catch lightning in a bottle, I should say.
I'm in the final stage 6 times and I never got to Indian Wells.
David, you're striking some chords with Mikey. I'm seeing him over there. So he's purple right now, kind of like a bar. I don't think red is actually the color tone. If I was to put a dropper on him,
there we go,
Barney.
I'm actually gonna look up after this to see what color code you actually fall into the range of.
Buddy, I didn't wear. I wore a hat for a little bit today.
If you had that color shade lipstick, you'd sell a ton.
Hey, you could put lipstick on a pig, but you know what? At the end of the day, DLB, what is it?
Got me.
It's still a pig. You can put lipstick on a pig, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig.
But I didn't think you could get any more purple right now. And my God, as David is talking about some of these topics, it's burning you up because you're like, gosh, I went through that. Oh gosh, 6 times.
You know what? It felt great today to get some sun. You got raccoon eyes, for Christ's sakes. I mean,
and there's no reason for it.
Yeah, I
watched myself with the sun. I mean, when we were out at the
your hat. I have your hat.
Yeah, and I wear sunscreens and long sleeves. And my dad passed away, sadly, of melanoma.
Oh, shit!
It's one of those. I'm with this company, Coolie Bar, a clothing company.
It's great too.
One of the sponsors at the American Cancer Association.
That's what you're wearing right now, correct?
Yeah, it's a Coolie Bar shirt. It sort of has.
I love it.
50 SPF and so on, and so it's great because, skin cancer is certainly an avoidable disease, shall we say? Yeah. And as long as you have checks periodically, and the way you've been out in the sun today, I would head off to the dermatologist tomorrow morning.
Buddy, I'm Spanish and Italian, and I got this good blood. Botox, whatever Well,
in all seriousness, though, this is the Coolie Bar is a good company, and I love doing some stuff for them, and they're very charitable, and they're really concerned about skin cancer. And we know, hey, if you're out in the elements, as we are in golf. I mean, you're going to get burnt so you got to be careful.
Yeah, my dad's growing up skateboarding, surfing, and playing golf.
Yeah, my dad's been going through it. I mean, he's had several spots removed. He was a softball coach, so he was out all the time. in the sun, and that is one of the big things. So he always wears those long sleeve shirts.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a couple.
Well, I grew up in Africa, and we didn't even think about it. I mean, it's just like, hey, you got a nice tan, let's just go and get a darker tan. And
sure,
I'm a sort of the Anglo-Saxon derivative, and so I didn't tan as well as I burnt. So
right.
So and they've figured out now you can have one burn when you're a kid, and that can affect you as you get older. So
absolutely.
All you people listening out there, just go and have a skin cancer check. It's really important.
And that's very true. Exactly what you said. My mom used to, love the sun, and now she covers up all the time. She's never had cancer or anything, thank God. But she covers up all the time and takes all the precautions. And it's they say sun's good for you, this and that, but how much sun?
Well, you need a certain amount.
Vitamin D, this and that. And I've been inside for 3 months, so I just
going through his knee replacement,
with my knee replacement. So
it delayed our first show, by the way, because he decided he got the doctor's approval and he went out and spent 10 hours at the golf course.
You sure you played today? You went at a tanning salon?
I don't do tanning salon. I got that good blood, that Italian Spanish blood, and we tan and we crisp and we turn into olive oil.
Now, David, did you ever patent or come out with a brand with the hat? Because I feel like it's iconic for you.
Yeah, I have his hat.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, I have his hat.
No, actually, I haven't. It's part of our logo. Our logo has my hat in there, and I don't wear it all the time. As you can see, I'm not wearing one now. We're indoors, so there's no point. But
that would be aggressive branding.
When I go to say Augusta or actually any of the major tournaments, a lot of time I'll wear a cap as opposed to a hat, because the thing is I'm so recognizable with my hat that people think, not that it bothers me. It's great. People
it's great branding.
I recognize you from your size 18 shoe.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm just about to have my size 14 actually.
Christ almighty.
Yeah.
Sleds.
Yeah, I'm actually about to have foot surgery next week for the 4th time. So
holy cow.
Feet are not my friends at the moment, but anyway.
Gosh.
It is what it is, right? Just getting old.
It is. Yeah, it'll be fine.
But feet are one of those things that keeps growing, isn't it? Kind of like the nose and ears.
Dude, his foot, you wouldn't believe the size of his shoes. You wouldn't believe the size of them. These New Balance, I mean, him and Elk have...
I've never met you in person,
close.
David. I can't wait for the opportunity, obviously, because apparently these 14...
I thought there were 16s, at least 16s.
The size precedes me as far as, I mean, it's like,
you're like Shaquille O'Neal on the golf side.
I don't need skis.
Well, nobody realized how tall he is, too. I mean, the guy is tall, and
I've seen you in the videos, in the teaching videos, and so forth.
Yeah, I mean,
you make everybody look small.
Yeah,
I just thought everybody that came to you was like 5'4".
yeah, that's right. They probably look like that, I mean. But I have worked with people like Jeff Sluman, who is not much taller than 5'4".
Yeah, that's valid.
I take the under on 5'4". I'll take the under on that.
Now, Mikey tells me that you got quite the training aid in the power shoot. What's going on there?
Yeah, we I've certain products over the years I've either endorsed or developed. I've got a couple in development right now, which see, I'm a big believer in helping. When you teach people, you got to first of all give them a concept. Then you got to give them a visual, of whether it be video or whether you show them in a mirror or whatever, you illustrate it yourself. Then thirdly, you got to get a feel for it, and that's ultimately what you got to play with. And you can develop feel by doing drills, which I'm a big fan of, certain drills for certain problems, and training aids. Certain training aids, I mean, they really do help to give a sense of what's taking place. We know most golfers, I mean, including tour players, sometimes can get deeply involved in overthinking. So the old paralysis to analysis syndrome, as it's termed. And so if you can have a feel for it, rather than sort of thoughts are something which you write down, you look at, you read, and okay, I'm thinking this, and this. But feeling is something which can sometimes be indescribable. I mean, it's just a sense and awareness that you have of what's taking place.
I can't read.
You've got past the concept stage, shall we say. So, I love devising these, these little training aids. And this is a training, a power shoot, which I sent one out to Mike before he hope that didn't sort of mess your knee up or anything.
No, it didn't.
He actually told me pre-show that no, I'm
well, Matt, it's funny how the topic came up is because I told him about what I used to use is this fan, and he knows what I'm talking about. The fan with the grip, and it had 4 blades on it, right?
Yep.
And then you said, give me your address. I'm going to send you something, but that's going to be close to that, which was the power shoot.
Yeah. It's like a kite in actual fact. You slide on top of two O-rings, you slide them down the shaft. And the great thing about it is that it really, you can't believe, especially with amateurs who, majority of amateurs are this way, right?
Yep.
And this actually, it rotates. So the thing actually starts to shallow. And you can't believe how much lag a player, I mean, when they swing and they film them, and they say, oh my goodness.
Creating lag is great.
Yeah, and it's an exercise program too, because it really is. There's a bigger kite, which is purely an exercise program, which is like an aerobic workout. But the other one is a great warm-up tool. So you swing it, and the wind resistance, obviously. I mean, it's been out for a little while. It's been modernized. We've changed a couple of things, and in fact, I think Mike Malaska used to use it years ago. From your neck of the woods.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and but I mean, I really like it because it's simple. It's folds up. You can stick it in your golf bag, and so they're making a big launch, and it's called the Power Shoot. And so they can either go on our website if people want to pick one up, or say Power Shoot has its own website. And so it's a cool training aid. I mean, it's something that it can only help, and especially as people get older. The fact is that the resistance there as you go back, it gives you a good start to the swing. And it actually almost the momentum carries you and actually stretches you back there. So older senior players actually are able to rotate more. So it actually sort of stretches them, if you will. While it
is definitely better than the fan. I mean, the fan back in the day.
Yeah, you were raving about this power shoot.
Yeah, I love the power shoot.
Once we started using it.
I used it. I started using it. After my knee, obviously, but you put on your own club. It's not like you don't hit balls in the house. You don't hit balls with it. You just put on your club, do some warm up device, do it in the house, do it wherever. Exactly. It's great. You can we have a little exercise program you can work with it. It comes with it.
8 to 10 minutes, and you can use it on the range as you warm up there, and just so it's a way of stretching yourself out, getting a feel for it, and it is interesting. I mean, how people have increased their club head speed tremendously just through using it for a period of time. So, it's golf training specifically, but it's a fun thing to use too. It's not that it is
because that sound.
And
the sound when you're going through impact is what I like.
Mikey, next time we're together, you got to bring it over.
I got it. Well,
because everything that David's saying, like I need it.
Yeah, you do.
I need the power.
DLB sent it to me. We talked about it, and because we were on the range, and we were at La Jolla Country Club, and I go, God, I missed that thing. He goes, I got one better for you. I'm gonna have Sergio send it to you, not Garcia, but
not your lookalike from back in the day.
Yeah, I know.
David, have you seen pictures of Mikey Perez early on?
It's Santiago, not Sergio. Okay.
Santiago, pardon me. I thought it was. See what I mean? I'm already thinking. Yeah, that's right, Santiago.
He's going back to his favorite player of all time, Sergio.
I love Sergio
because he looks just like him. Not now, but like back in the day.
Torrey Pines, I always got.
Mikey sent me a picture. And I go, wait a second, why'd you send me a picture of Sergio Garcia? He goes, no, man, that's me.
People didn't believe me either. Like I'm at Torrey Pines on the bottom end of the range or the north end, watching the Big Cat or my brother, and people will come up to me with a pen and a flag. I go, what? I'm not even dressed like I'm a golfer. I'm in a.
We actually have one of our kids.
I love Sergio, though.
From Mexico, who actually won Sergio's AJGA event 2 weeks ago in Austin.
What's his name? Let's give him a little shout out.
Antonio Safa. And so Antonio Safa, yeah, he attended our academy for 3 years. He's actually, my son actually works with him and his brother down in Mexico now. And Antonio, yesterday, they had 25 amateurs, I think, for one spot to play in the new Mexican Open that's going to be happening at the end of April. So he won that. So he's he's going to be playing in the Mexican Amateur. And so we've had some real success.
Great.
Because the one kid we had from the Cayman Islands, believe it or not, they got, I think I've
been there.
400 golfers in Cayman. So his name is Aaron Jarvis, and so he worked at our academy. He was at our academy for 3 years and 4 years, maybe.
What the hell is there a golf course in the Cayman Islands? I guarantee I saw the whole island. I didn't see a golf course.
So, but anyway, he got a scholarship at UNLV, and so he went and won the Latin America qualifying for the Masters. So he's playing at Augusta next week. He's playing in the Open.
No way.
Open St. Andrew. Yeah, and here's a 19-year-old kid who's like, gone from being sort of a one-off player in the Cayman Islands. I mean, definitely the first Cayman Island player to play at Augusta.
Exactly.
Or in the Masters, anyway. So
he's the new VJ.
Yeah. So we've. I love working with kids. That's why I'm so happy that Mishai is with them, because it takes away a lot of what's happening at home, and he can really ensconce himself and into playing the game that he really loves. So
I'm happy to hear that,
David. There's a million other questions that I want to ask you, but you've been so gracious with your time.
You have,
and I don't want to keep you if you don't.
I've got a few more minutes, guys.
Okay, I do have a couple other pertinent questions. Which number one is Charles Howell III.
Oh, Chucky 3 Sticks.
Chucky 3 Sticks.
I just anything at all. Any insights there? I mean, my God, was that just
so good?
It was such a cool swing.
All right, so I mean,
he's amazing.
In fact, he's actually working with my head instructor at the academy. He like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I mean, Charles is one of those guys. I mean, he's like, look, he's an ATM machine. He's won so much money in his career, but
he's like Tim Clark.
He's won 3 tournaments, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, for a guy of his ability level, I mean, Charles is just one of those guys. He loved golf. He never played any other sport growing up. I mean, he can't throw a baseball.
Are we talking about Pat or Charles?
Talk about Charles.
Because we got 3 wins each and can't do anything else.
Yeah, I mean,
2 left feet.
That's why Charles, in my opinion, never been a great wedge player. If you play baseball, you can figure out how you're going to throw it to first base, right?
Throwing
it 20 feet over his head or into the dirt. And so Charles never learnt that, and so it was almost a mechanical approach. But he made himself into a great. He made himself into a golf athlete, shall we say? And I mean, always a great ball striker. But it's just you always think that he never really. As much money as he's made, as good as he's played over the years, you just feel like he's an underachiever. There's no question,
It's over 30 million he's made in his career.
His golf swing is literally one of the best golf swings, and I think it's underrated. To be quite honest, like his ball striking is unbelievable, amazing. And for his size to be able to hit it as far as he was hitting at 300 back in the day when guys weren't hitting at 300 yet. I mean, only the top, and it was big time headlines back then. I mean, a lot of people talked about just the leverage that he used to get, but his iron play was unbelievable.
There was a strike about his. I mean, I sort of compared it at the time because when Charles was young. I mean, I was working with Nick Price, and Nick Price is probably one of history's great all-time iron players. I mean, unbelievable ball striker. And so there was a very similar sound between Charles and Nick when they were hitting you. I sometimes turned my head and listened. There was this sort of like a bullet, it was just like, and so, I mean, look, Charles, he's had you've got to say he's had a very successful career, right? And he still works hard. He loves the game. I mean, his
what's he up to now?
22 years. He's 22 years straight.
Yeah, but what is he up to now? Is he still trying to play professionally?
He's on. He switched equipment.
He played in his 600th event.
600.
At the Honda, I think it was.
Yep. Was it 600 or 5?
One of those. Somewhere in Florida.
6 or 5?
What's that?
Was it 600 or 500?
600, yeah. 600.
It was 6, 100. So that's 70 more than Pat. So that's nuts. And he switched equipment with
who's he with
Titleist now? He's back with Titleist.
Titleist, yeah.
He's back with Titleist, but he left PXG.
He was with Callaway for the longest time.
Yeah. He was with Callaway for a very long time.
That's where I remember the majority of his career being with Callaway.
That's where he won with. He won with Callaway.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's a great guy. I love him. Every time I went to the Masters, I stayed with him up there, in his house. Because they live just around the corner, and so his dad's, his mum and dad are great people, and his brothers, totally different from Charles, but he's just one of those players that you look at, you think, man, if only, something. There's just little something missing. Whether it was
was it the putting? Was it the short game? Because
yeah. I mean, not the greatest wedge player, streaky putter.
Yeah,
I just think that
he's content. He's content.
Here was a story. I mean, I'll tell you a little inside story. I mean, this is not to demean Charles in any form or shape.
No, but this is an unfiltered podcast.
Matt Kuchar, I was doing an outing with Matt, and he said, "You used to work a lot with Charles, didn't you?" I said, "Yeah." So he said, "What's his deal?" I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "I was playing with him last year. I don't know where it was. It was somewhere. I don't know, maybe the Texas Open or something. Anyway, whatever it was."
Sure.
And he said, we're on the last hole there, and Charles is he's like 2 off the lead. It was a par 5, which was reachable. And, I mean, hey, go, make 3, get in a playoff, or, set the clubhouse score or whatever. And anyway, he said, I turned my back, and next one I hear boom, and I look at it. I could tell he hit an iron. He hit an iron off the tee.
Off the tee?
Off the tee, yeah. It was a pretty tight hole, And so he hit a 2-iron or something off the tee there. So as he's walking down, he's asking his caddy, he said, "What's the deal there? Why don't you hit drive? I mean, you can get home in 2, you can make 3 here, with a great tee shot." He said, "Well, Charles doesn't want to finish any worse than 3rd."
That tells the entire story. That's his career, actually.
Think about that. I mean, it's like, okay, well, it's like with his skill level, you think, and all the money he's made, who gives a damn if you're 1st or 8th or 10th or whatever.
Right. But
wow. two other occasions, Charles had the opportunity. I mean, he qualified for the Open Championship, and he didn't bother to go. He said, "No, I don't like playing those conditions."
That sounds like my brother. Pat hates it over there.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
Pat hates it over there.
I know.
Well, at least, I don't know.
And I'm a competitive person, right? I could never sit there and take 2nd, 3rd. Like, if I wasn't in contention and playing to win, I would lose focus and I would lose interest in what I was doing. But there's definitely a set group
I did, because
guys.
I want to make that money. Because I want to buy a new guitar.
Well, there's definitely a set group of guys that, they have no problem finishing in the top 10. They don't care about winning.
It's a business to them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's a smart business. I mean, if you're sitting there trying to be conservative and just make your
Chucky 36's pension is so big, it doesn't matter. His pension, his 401k is so big at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's
but
ridiculous.
it makes
PGA
me
Tour
wonder.
has made such a great thing.
It makes me wonder. What is the meanest thing that you've ever said to somebody that you're training? So, if you have to be direct with somebody, right? Let's say that, for instance, Charles.
He's not going to say that.
No, but what's the meanest thing? Because I actually have a story to follow up to this, to Butch Harmon. So I feel free to share here.
You suck. Go get a job.
Realize I have British heritage, and we're very diplomatic. Okay, so we don't come out and say, "Hey, you're putting like an asshole. What the hell?" You don't.
I heard that.
Whatever. I mean, you can do it in sort of a nice way. I've always tried to. You never want to demean a player, and I mean, if I do it sort of in jest, so it sounds funny. I said, it's like
that's fucking terrible.
You got the finest putting stroke of its kind I've seen. So maybe we want to work on just changing a little bit. Just something subtle. You
use that putter. You can use that putter.
You soften the blow with a little bit of humor or a little bit of satire.
You got to say, is he serious what he said there, or is he?
Matt, I've heard everything.
Is he messing with me? Or
Matt, I've heard everything in the book.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, the reason why I asked this is because Butch probably has no idea that he's ever met me, has no idea who I am, but I played on his mini tour, right? So the Butch Harmon Vegas tour, when he had that going, and he saw me out of Rio Seco on hole 17, which was a par 5. I guess they flipped it ever since. This is going back years, but I end up hitting a shot, and he happens to be in a cart up by the green. And it was my second shot on the par 5, and I think I had maybe 255 or something like that. And I'm in the rough. I'm in the second cut, and I hit a 3-wood out of the rough because I was a young kid. Well, all of a sudden I finish up the round, and Butch is beelining towards me. And I'm like, why is he coming up to me? And then I'm like, oh, shoot, maybe he was on that shot. And sure enough, he comes over, he goes, hey, you're that kid that, he goes, you were on 17, right? I saw you on 17. He's like, what'd you hit there? And I go, I hit a 3-wood. He goes, that's the dumbest shot that I have seen in a professional golf.
That green's no joke either.
And I was on the fringe, and like I hit a perfect shot. I hit it onto the green and everything. And when he said that to me, my jaw dropped because I thought he was going to compliment me, right? Hey, that was a great shot. No, it was that. But then he followed it up. And this goes to your point around using a little bit of satire, a little bit of comedy behind it. But he goes, but obviously you have some talent. So why don't you come by the facility on Wednesday? Because those tournaments would happen on like a Monday and Tuesday. When people weren't playing those golf tournaments. He's like, and we'll get you set up. And sure enough, he got me set up with one of the instructors there. But yeah, that's why I bring that story up, because it's like, that might have been one of the harshest things that I've ever heard from a golf instructor in my life, but it was great. Like it was that wake up call for me, and to know that my career was probably better off somewhere else.
Buddy, I'll tell you, it's very hard to take criticism, and believe me, I've taken everything there is, everything from everybody, from whatever. But you know what? David, when you and I saw each other at La Jolla Country Club, it was simple. It's just a simple thing. But believe me, I've heard it. But he joked with me about how bad something was, and I'm like, and Benji had it on his phone. I watch it all the time, actually, because anyway. But yeah, the criticism you got to be able to take. If you can't take the criticism, then you're in the wrong sport. If you can't take heat, then get out. If you can't take, if your skin is not thick enough for this game, you're going to get ruined, because everybody else down that range doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah. Even as coaches, we suffer from the same syndrome.
Sure.
You get people around you down. I said, when somebody says, hey, does it bother you? I said, you know what? No, I'm like a rhinoceros. I said, what do you mean, a rhinoceros? I said, well, I'm thick-skinned and I charge a lot.
You know who looks like a
rhinoceros
right now?
This is incredible.
I can't get over it. I keep looking at your
buddy.
I'm obviously focused on David, right?
Of
and
course.
I'm looking at your video feed, David, and all of a sudden, every once in a while, I peek over at Mike's.
Why are my teeth so yellow?
It kills me.
Why are my teeth so yellow?
Well, that's because you're purple on the face, which makes your white teeth look yellow.
Well, here's my arm. There's my arm.
That's not better. It's just not better.
Well,
anyways, we digress.
We're all of a sudden.
I did tell Mike that I was gonna, before we sort of finish. I did tell him I was gonna, because I know he's a big Seve Ballesteros fan, right?
Oh yes, that's
my
correct.
boy, my Seve.
I was gonna
my
tell
doggy
him about the great year that I had working with Seve. So
please tell us what you got.
It was I'm just trying to think. It was 91 or 92. I think it was 92. I think anyway. I have to look back in the annals of history, but so I used to go over to Japan quite a bit back in the day. I used to go 3 times a year and work with some of their players and one thing or another. And so I did some work for Dunlop, and so they had a tournament back there called the Dunlop Open, not the Dunlop Phoenix, the Dunlop Open, which was sort of a tournament at the end of the Asian tour, and it was partly Asian players, partly Japanese players. It was just played at just outside of Tokyo, north of Tokyo. Anyway, so I was over there, and Seve, he was a long-time Dunlop player.
I love it. Yeah.
So I'm over at the tournament there, and I knew Seve just through passing. I mean, I remember seeing Seve probably when he was 17, and his brother. I saw him first time when he was 17. Yeah, he was playing in South Africa in a tournament. His brother, Manuel, was his sort of minder, and it was with him, and it was this young phenom. I think he might have been 18, but 17 or 18 anyway.
Wow, I didn't know that long, brother.
When I first saw him. But anyhow, so Seve at that time was probably, when I saw him in Japan, he was probably, 33 or 34 or something. And he's already suffering from back problems, and he was, so he was suffering from back problems. I mean, he was hitting it all over the place, and I mean, he was short and crooked. Because, I mean, if you go back, you look in the mid 80s when Seve, you look at some of the old masters. I mean, he hit it long with the old persimmon driver. I mean,
running the screws.
He could flush it, and he wasn't always online. But man, he hit it right out of the middle of the face every time. But as his back deteriorated, he actually lost a lot of his torque in his swing. And it was, he got very narrow coming into the ball, and still brilliant short game. So anyway, so I was there, and he came up to me and said, "Hey, David," he said, "Look, I'm here this week," and he said, "If you have any time, I'd like you to, come and watch me hit some balls." Yeah, I said, "Sure." At least you could speak English, sort of. So it was like, I'd have a translator with everybody else.
Right.
But anyway.
Good to them.
It was a pleasure. I said, sure, Seve, I'd do that with pleasure. Anyway, so he said, "So what do you think?" He said, "David," he said, "I've been playing very badly the last year or two." And I said, "Okay, Seve," I said, "Look, let's face it, from 100 yards and in, you're probably still the best." Okay.
Ever.
Okay. You haven't lost that part of your game. You just got to figure a way out to find some fairways and,
sure.
Just get the ball in play. I said, even if I know you've always been a long hitter, but look, if you lose a little bit of distance, but yet you find more fairways, you're going to play great. So you can still win out here. Play easy.
Yeah.
So he said, "Okay, how do we do it?" And so, Seve always used to have that big old tilt and bent over a lot. Yeah. So we made a couple of changes, and it's more this posture than anything. We got him to swing it shorter and
really.
Yeah, I said, "Listen, you got to get out of that." Because he actually had an overturn. Okay, I know a lot of people.
So he went more under and around.
We got him short. We got a shorter arm swing. So that the fact is he had less tilt. So it was a little more level of a shoulder turn, not a lot, but a little more level, but a short arm swing. Actually, so his caddy at the time was the well-known caddy Billy Foster, right? Billy, who is caddies for Westwood and he caddies for Matt Fitzpatrick. Now, he's been out there for years. And so I said, what I used to do with Seve, he used to swing it back, and I used to go behind him and push. I said, "Okay, I'm trying to get you narrow, Seve, and you're trying to get wide. You push me, I'll push you." And it's
interesting.
It's a way that I actually get a message across from a kinesthetic standpoint. It's called neuro.
I've been called
it's called MPF, neuromuscular proprioception, proprioceptive facilitation, MPF. I do it quite a bit. They use it in rehab, like if somebody has a bad arm and they'll push, right? And it's all of a sudden, you do this sort of thing. So when I try to push him narrow, it almost sprung into a wider, shorter position. Anyway, so I won't go too much into that. That's about it. So anyway, he finished third that week at the Dunlop Open, and he's all excited, said, "Hey man, this is great, thank you." And he goes next week and he finishes second at the tournament, the big tournament they call the Chunichi Crowns, and he finished second. So he went 3-2, and if I'm not mistaken, it's either the next week or the week after that, he won the Spanish Open. So he went 3-2-1 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Now he's
because you were.
Now he's calling me up, and Nick Fowler's really pissed off because all the news reports are out there that David Leadbetter is helping his rival.
You're right. I love Fowler.
Anyway, so I worked with Seve the whole year, and we didn't do anything else but those 2 or 3 things that we worked on at the band. And I got Billy Foster. I said, "Hey Billy, whenever you get a chance, you push, he pushes." And it was like, he started to hit it with a little cut, little fade. And he's starting to hit fairways, and he won 3. I think he won 2 more tournaments that year, and he won the money list in Europe, the Order of Merit, as they call it over there, right?
Sure.
So anyway, he's all pumped, and he says, "Okay, David," says, "I'm going home, over Christmas. I'm going to stay at home in Padrena where he lived, and so, but I want to come out and see you next year before I get playing." So he didn't play the West Coast. And he was having a big argument with the tour back then with Dean Beeman, and so he refused.
Him argue? Shocker.
Sounds like somebody else we know right now.
Shocker.
So he was obviously he was a ranked number 1 player, and this was before world rankings even.
Right.
But he was number 1 player in Europe, and he refused to play at the Players. He said, "No, I'm not playing." Anyway, so he came. We were at Lake Nona. I was living at Lake Nona in Orlando, and he came over for a week, and so. We worked for that whole week. It was so much fun. Just getting to know him sort of away from the golf course, and
so amazing.
Just some of his short game exploits. It was my son Andy, who I mentioned earlier with Ty. We had a green in our backyard there, and so he's in the bunker, and I said, "Andy, you want to learn the best in the world? This is the kid." So anyway, Seve hits a couple of shots. He says, "Andy, how's your bunker play?" "Oh, pretty good. Andy was 13. So he hits the first shot and holds it. And Seve goes, "Whoa,
Nice."
Yeah, he knocked it
Nice.
down. So anyway,
So Seve was quiet for a little bit.
yeah, he was quiet for a
That's great. That's great.
So anyway,
It's a
so
rarity.
we worked the whole week, and at that time, so he missed the players. So he went. I think the next week was New Orleans, right? It was like it used to go player New Orleans. It was a week before the Masters. Okay, so
That Houston.
No, I think it was New Orleans back then.
Yeah.
Back then? Oh, okay. Okay, because now they're a Valero.
Back about 92.
And now they're
93.
Valero.
Yeah,
which
it was
is,
Houston,
okay.
but no, now it's, I mean, this is now Houston, but, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
But anyway, so he finished 10th, which was, a nice warm up and,
Sure.
So anyway, so he called me up and said, "Hey, when you come out to Augusta," I said, "Hey, I'll be up there."
That's a terrible ask, huh, David? Come on
What's
up
that?
to Augusta. That's a
Yeah.
terrible
He's
ask.
been there
right?
so long.
Obviously I was up there anyway with, a couple other
Of course.
players, but-
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we get there Monday, and Billy's he says, "Man," he says, "I tell you what," he says, I've got money on Seve this week. He has got the ball on a string." And we're watching there. This was the old range at Augusta, not the new one they've got.
Yeah,
now. The old
I remember.
now the members range, and they had these big poles out there. You hit balls, and And so he says, "Okay." I said, "Okay, Seve, let's see." And he was hitting a little cut. He says, and which was, you'd think, well, Augusta needs a draw, but he says, no, he says, I'm hitting, I'm puring. And I mean, literally, he was sort of nominating the shots he was hitting. And it's like, man, this is cool. He's going to have a good shot at this week. Okay, so anyway, and bear in mind that the Japanese tournament is like 2 weeks after, when I saw him, it was 2 weeks after Augusta. Okay, that's how it pans out. It's sort of towards the end of April.
Okay.
So anyway, so I get there Tuesday. This is Tuesday morning, and I walk onto the range, and I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, I see Billy walking over, and he's like effing and blinding. And I said, "What's going on, Billy?" He says, "Have a look at this shit." I remember those are the exact words. I said, "What?" And I'm looking there, and it was like a reincarnation of Seve from a year ago. He had this big, his hands were high, and he had this big turn. I'm thinking, what is he doing? And there was a guy standing behind him, and I didn't realize, so I got closer, it was Manuel, his brother. His brother had come over the previous evening. Now, he hadn't seen Seve play because he lived up in a different part of Spain, La Manga, okay? And so they never got together. All he saw was his results, and obviously internet and all this sort of stuff. But he's looking at Seve, and Billy's telling me, he said, "Hey, this is not Seve Ballesteros. You got to get those hands up there, man." So he's I walk over there, walk over there. I mean, he didn't look up. He didn't acknowledge I was there. And his brother gave me a couple of dirty looks, and I'm thinking, this is really weird. So anyway, I moved off, and anyway, that was probably Tuesday morning. So I remember in the afternoon or Wednesday, whenever I was walking to the range, Seve saw me, and he sort of moved in a different direction.
What?
Didn't want to run into me,
That's lame.
So it was very, very strange. Well,
my idol too.
Anyway,
That's what
needless to say,
well, he knew. He was going against what you were telling him.
He shot like 78, 77, so I missed the cut by a mark.
Good.
By a mark.
So he gets to listen to
I
his
felt
brother.
really bad because anyway, so the story hasn't quite finished, nearly finished. Takes a lot of your time here. So anyway,
oh no, David, I'm worried about your time. You're good. Keep going.
We're over in Japan at the same tournament a year later. Now, this is the anniversary of the time when I saw him, right? And, so now he's there and he sees me and he walks up to me and says, "Hey, David," he said, "listen, I want to thank you." He said, "These are for you." Okay. And
I love this
payment.
I love this payment. I love this payment.
This was a little parcel. Seve's known as being a bit tight, I mean, he didn't sort of, he wasn't free with his cash, but anyway,
No.
But that's fine.
It's all right. He was cheap. Just saying. He was cheap.
Yeah. But anyway, so he said to me, he said, "Look, I know I played good last year, but what we did was too mechanical for me. That he says, I'm a field player. I have to go back to what's natural."
Okay,
Seve. And then from that time, he did actually win one tournament post that time. He worked with Mac O'Grady for a while.
Oh my, the
good
mad
old Mac
scientist.
O'Grady.
The mad scientist.
I think by all accounts, he took Seve into the desert. cut his hair off and they buried it in a box in the desert to get rid of all the demons. You know, it's how the story
Matt's
goes.
so I remember.
Okay.
Oh,
But
I've heard
anyway,
a number of Mac
I've met him
stories.
I've met him
Yeah,
and
no,
played
he's
with him.
I mean, great ball striker, genius in many respects.
He's
And,
crazy.
actually,
He's nuts.
I mean,
He is nuts.
He's been part of he's part of folklore, right, Mac O'Grady,
Yeah,
and
he really
he
is.
actually, I
He
think,
makes
you know,
he makes DeChambeau look normal.
yeah, but kudos. I mean, he provided a lot of information. A lot of guys.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the stack and tilt guys. And
Yep.
Big stack and tilt guy.
Phil
yeah.
left. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I sort of, I wasn't going to be rude in front of Seve and open whatever he gave me.
I love Seve, so it's
But
okay.
I had. So my payment for the year was 6 large Japanese shirts. You know, Seve Ballesteros shirts. Dunlop Seve Ballesteros. Japanese large now wouldn't come up to my navel. Okay? It's like
This is like a small for me.
like a men's small, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my
Right.
God.
But, you know, the
This is
colors were
great.
great.
Oh yeah. That's why. Oh, good pour.
You know, so anyway, so that was my story, Seve. But you know, it was I mean, I wouldn't have traded for anything because it was so interesting and just getting to know
It's
him.
Seve.
and-
It's
I
Seve.
mean, he was a genius, right?
It's
Yeah,
Seve.
You,
It's Seve.
you were learning and gaining insights from him
Yeah,
just as much,
absolutely.
right?
I mean,
My
that's what I
dog's
always
name is
say.
Seve.
I
I
mean,
mean, I
my
love
greatest-
Seve.
My greatest teachers are the people that I've taught. You know,
Yeah.
so it's. I mean, so that was fun. It was, that was a story for the annals there, but it was quite interesting. A lot of people don't realize that I did work with Seve.
People don't realize how hard he was and
Listen,
how
I never
difficult
knew.
he was.
And I
No,
liked it.
Matt. He's
I-
so difficult because when I told Kurt Byram that my dog's name is Seve, he goes, I was texting him, Kurt Byram, when Pat was doing well on the air, and he saw something with my dog. He goes, "What's your dog's name?" I go, "Seve." He goes, "Does he shit on everybody too?"
Hot take. Hot take.
That's
Well,
what, no,
David,
no,
I didn't-
but
I
it's
didn't
how
know you
Seve
worked-
is, though.
I didn't know you worked with Seve.
Yeah,
I never knew you worked with Seve.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
a lot of people don't. I
He's
mean,
worked
it's
with everybody.
Yeah, so
Faldo.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't like Nick Faldo broadcast. Okay, hey, my coach worked with Seve. You know, what I mean, no, that didn't come about. But
DLB's seen it all.
The Seve Ballesteros story is, because he was look, he gamesmanship was part of his makeup, right? I mean, you always heard the coughing.
Yeah, yeah.
He and Azinger nearly got in a fight at Kiowa and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I
the
do recall.
interesting thing was, so he's playing a little match play event. It was sort of a forerunner. They have a little match play thing before the Ryder Cup and what have you. But so what it was Europe versus the rest of the world or something, And so a friend of mine actually who grew up in the part of the world that I grew up in, Africa, his name's Tony Johnson. Now, Tony Johnson he's a TV broadcaster. He's a funny little guy. He's a good friend of Nick Price's and everybody else.
I love Price.
It's sort of one of those guys. He, in fact, he said, he used to fiddle around. He was a bit like Sergio.
Sergio, yeah.
One of our favorite guys who passed away, unfortunately, a couple of years ago, his name was Simon Hobday, right? So Simon Hobday was a complete nut. I mean, he played on the Champions Tour.
More than Fultzy?
Oh yeah. I mean, this guy.
That's saying a lot now.
Funniest guy you've ever seen in your life. He won the US
Fultzy's
Senior
nuts.
Open. Yeah, Fulty was a.
Fultzy's nuts. Nuts.
Simon Hobday was his mentor. Okay, that's how.
Okay.
All right.
Now
So
we're on the same
anyway, from a standpoint of comedy and funny statements, but anyway, he said to, he said, so Tony's over the ball like this, and I'll get back to the Seve story in a second. He's over the ball like this. He says, "Hey." So he stops. He says, "Hey, Simon, would you mind moving your shadow?" He says, "Well, it wasn't there when you started."
Right, because it took so damn long. That's funny.
They call him the termite, because he was over the ball so long. The termites would actually eat the tea,
Because you... I've never heard that. That's great. The termite.
So anyway,
Because he'd eat the tea because it takes too long. I'm using that one. I'm taking that. That's amazing.
So Tony's playing against Seve, right? So
Termites.
So they're on this last hole, and the match is all even or whatever.
God, that's great.
So you're gonna have to picture this a little bit. So Seve's berating some rules official, for not giving him a drop somewhere.
Of course. Shocker.
So he's like 30 yards behind. So anyway, there's two balls. This is a blind tee shot, a blind tee shot. So both balls are sort of over the hill there, and they're sort of equidistant. So one ball One ball is lying in a divot, okay, and the other ball is about 5 or 6 yards away from it, almost level with it. So anyway, next to the ball, quite close to the ball, is a sprinkler head, right? So I can't stand up and just describe this, but you have to picture it. So anyway, so Tony gets up to the ball, and he's got one
huge stance,
sprinkler head, and he's got the other foot sort of, so he says, Seve, he says, hey, this sprinkler head is affecting my setup and my swing. Can I move? Can I get a drop? So Seve is about 20 yards away. He said, no, Tony, that's not your normal setup.
Right.
You can't address the ball like that. Has to be.
I would have said the same thing.
So then he swaps the other foot. So he puts the left foot on the sprinkler head, and he's standing like this, like
just for a free drop.
Like 100 yards left. He says, okay, Seve, look, if I play the shot like this, can I get a drop? So he says, Tom, he says, no, it's no good. No, you can't play. You have to play. He says, are you sure? He says, I'm certain. He says, oh, well, that's
yes.
Good. This is your ball.
Oh, no, you're kidding. It was his ball.
What was it really? His
ball? It was Seve's ball.
Oh, my God.
That is great. Oh, God. All that.
Yeah, that's legendary.
That's so funny. It was Seve's ball. How funny.
He outsmarted the guy who literally will.
He tried every way. He tried every way. Because he knew how Seve is. That's right.
Yeah, Seve would work his way.
To sort of somehow,
I've heard stories.
He would have explained it.
I've heard stories that Seve was just, like Kurt Byron said, does your dog shit on everybody too? It's the same thing. But I love him. He's my idol. I love him. Him and Faldo.
He was so charismatic,
he's great.
He was amazing, and
then watching that documentary on Golf Channel, I swear to God, every time I watch it, I cry. That movie. I'm not lying,
Mike.
It's not pathetic. It's not pathetic because when Faldo starts crying.
Yes,
I lose it. I lose it.
I didn't know which one.
He's my idol. He's my idol.
You just brought that up, and yes, all right, Mike.
It's
okay.
Very hard.
He was something else. Obviously he was Mr. Ryder Cup, right? He changed the.
He was a pain in the ass, but he did.
Yeah, but he changed the fortune of the Europeans. When they came on board.
And then when Jose Maria, I lost my ball. Comes on. Oh, Thobel, I lost my ball. Came on and he goes, I'm doing it from, when he does all that and then Poulter does it, there's a lot to be said for that. And then his name's in the sky and the logo's on the bag, So for me, that touches big, because I grew up watching him and Faldo and all those guys. And those are who we wanted to be. Yeah, we had our American guys, but, till the cat came along.
That was sort of a golden era for European golf. You had Faldo, you had Langer, you had Lyle, you had Woosnam, you had
Woozy, yes.
There's an hour conversation though.
I love
Bernard
Woozy.
Langer.
Langer's amazing.
Those putting woes, but my God.
Yeah. Faldo, one of the best turns in the world ever.
But
right?
The Europeans.
Sandy Lyle, people forget he won 2 majors,
right.
Amazing ball striker, and he, maybe wasn't endowed with the greatest amount of grey matter. When they asked Sandy, he said, "Hey, so what do you think of Tiger Woods?" He said, "I don't think I've played that course."
DLB, I'll tell you what, the kids nowadays, they just don't know how different the game was back when in the early 90s.
Oh, are you going? Are you doing
they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it.
I used to walk to school in my bare feet and 8 inches of snow.
No, I'm just saying. It was different. The balls were different.
And you and I talked about that on the first episode, actually. The equipment.
Bryson wouldn't be able to do what he does. Bryson wouldn't be able to do what he does.
Nobody could swing as fast as they can right now.
Dustin's
with
an athlete. He can get away with
drivers and be consistent outside.
But Tiger did it from day one.
Well, Tiger played inferior equipment.
He played as TaylorMade. No, he did not. He had the TaylorMade.
No, I'm talking
burner
about
driver.
I'm talking about when he was on the Nike deal. But
But no,
And
he
by the
started
way,
a tailor-made burner
fact
with a
check,
steel shaft
fact
all
check,
the way.
He never played the squared Sasquatch driver, but he played the 2.0 version of the Sasquatch.
Yeah, mark my words, though.
Which was just as bad.
He used a tailor-made burner driver, which is the size of our 3-wood now, 8-degree with an
Tiger was back in the
X100
day,
at
yes.
43 and a half.
Everybody
probably, right, David?
back when playing that equipment.
Yeah, but these kids won't know what to do.
But nowadays, the one guy who could actually still swing the same way that he's swinging now is probably Adam Scott.
I agree with you. I agree with that.
I mean,
agree with that.
accuracy has become a thing of the past to where these drivers are all built now to where you hit a fade. You hit a nice little fade, and you're going to be able to play a very long time, and you're going to be in the range as far as the
my argument is the fact that the easier you swung, and you're using a Max Fly HT Bellata, right, David? Remember that ball?
Yeah.
Or a Tour 90, and you had to shape shots, and you got the wind blowing, this and that. It wasn't the harder you swung, the ball flattens out and goes down. It was you had to actually hit a shot, right?
Yeah, I mean,
that's my argument. That's all.
Tiger had a good answer for
Tiger went through it all.
Well, the distance issue now. He said, "Hey, just make golf balls with more spin, then you're going to figure out." That
these guys won't know what to do.
Yeah,
they won't know what to do, and that's what I want to see. And slow down the greens. Slow down the greens. I want to see the greens slower and the ball spinnier. And let's see what happens.
Yeah, now that you're behind a mic instead of out on the golf
I'll do it either way. I don't care. My advantage me. Fine. Because that's what I grew up with, and I'm fine with that.
But I do want to get, David, do you think
my brother would say the same thing.
Do you think he's going to play next week, Tiger?
Of course he is. Phil's up there.
By all accounts, he's going to. I mean, it's amazing to me.
He's there. He's committed. He's on grounds. He has to be there.
Well, no, he's testing it out. Is what they said.
He's playing to see how he can last around that golf course, because I mean, it's going to be a tough test physically for him. I mean, you know how hilly that golf course is.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I've been there.
TV doesn't do it justice, right?
True.
And so, I mean, that's
TV does no justice for it.
I mean, so hopefully, look, if he does, I mean, all kudos to him. I mean, but you would never say never with a guy like him. I mean,
no,
he's sort of shrouded in secrecy, and he's a bit of a, that mystique about.
That's what he does.
You probably won't know until the morning or Thursday morning.
Exactly.
Not,
He's probably going late. He's going to go late early.
Is he pulling the Dustin Johnson where he's going to be on the range trying to test it out, but then pulls out because of his back?
He's not
you never know with Tiger. I mean, but I would say he wouldn't be, if he does play, he wouldn't be playing if he didn't think he had a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the way he is. I mean,
that's what he wants.
To think in terms of the only tournament he's played is the father-son in the last how many months now? This is like what?
That was December.
Yeah,
November or December.
He was in a lot of pain in that final round.
Yeah.
A lot of pain. Like you could see it on his face. And that's a guy who has a lot of pain. Like his pain tolerance is through the roof.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean,
when you're on painkillers and all that shit, it's easy.
Back surgery prior to the car accident.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
he's going to play. He's going to be fine. He's going to play. I'm going with playing.
Well, I was out at the Masters.
Your vote. Your vote.
Yeah, I think.
I'm sitting on the fence here.
I think he's in. I called it last week, and
1-1 and.
For people that listened to the last episode, I made it sound like I knew that he was playing next week in the Masters. I may know something.
I can make a phone call right now and find out.
Sure enough, a week later, he takes his jet, he goes to Augusta, he's playing the golf course, he's testing it out, and I think everything is kind of pointing towards him playing. However, as you said, David, he will not play unless he knows he can compete.
That's correct.
Win. And the only thing
you said that last week too, bro.
What I do think is that he is in a situation to where he doesn't want to have to withdraw. So can he deal with the pain of walking that course? Because the three of us, we know how hilly that golf course is. And gosh, I'm trying to think of who it was at the Masters.
18. Nobody realizes what 18's like. Nobody realizes what.
Ian Baker Finch. He was the one.
Ian Baker Finch.
Yeah, we were at an event and at the Masters, and he was telling everybody, he goes, "Listen, guys, you don't realize that this is the most grueling golf course that we play on tour. That by the time you get to the fourth round, you've got shin splints, you've got your ankles taped, and nobody talks about it because it is a very hilly golf course.
You think, I mean, how many years Olazabal didn't play because of his knee?
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And now you've got Tiger
who's a winner?
Woods,
Who's a
who
winner?
Had a bone sticking out of his leg going back to a year ago.
He should have got a driver.
Or just over a year ago.
Should have had a driver.
You look at everybody who has had this. Tony Hawk recently with the skateboard.
Yeah.
You've got Conor McGregor in UFC. You've got a lot of guys who have gone through this injury. And
who's the other dude in UFC? Vanderlei Silva. Yeah, Anderson. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. No, he was the first one who had that happen, too.
Oh, my gosh. Just
it
thinking of
takes
it.
a long time to come back from that injury. And granted, we're just walking in golf.
His foot went like this.
Yeah.
His ankle. Oh,
I don't know.
I saw it. It was
But
brutal.
if he can deal with the pain, and I don't know
He's going to be fine.
how much
We don't
more
know.
pain that it will be over the U.S. Open when he played with the broken leg.
Dude, he's going to be fine. He's on his shots. He's going to be on his pills. He's gonna be
Mikey
fine.
comes in. David, one thing that you might not know is Mikey comes in with these takes around beta blockers, painkillers, and I'm just like, it's still
I'm
pain.
not stupid.
It's still pain, though.
Right,
Like,
I
you
know.
can get a cortisone shot, but it's still pain. Like, you're still dealing with a certain amount.
But you still have to go through the tour. There's still things to go through. You think he has to do that? No. Just like Phil. You kidding?
Well,
no.
there's certain privilege.
VJ didn't win 10 tournaments in 1 year because
you said
he
that
was
last
hitting
week.
balls. The DLB, come on.
Do you
You
know
and I
that
both know
he
this.
just came out with a social
I know
media
everything.
post about him hitting balls at the range?
Who's that?
VJ?
VJ?
No, VJ. So Mikey Perez goes out.
I know.
last week
I know
and,
what's
and
going on.
calls out VJ Singh about how he used to
I know
practice all
Biggie.
the time.
I know Biggie. I
and
can
then
tell to
he's
his
not
face.
practicing anymore. And then all of a sudden, there's a post like literally a day or two later of him practicing at the range, and it's
I'll
been
tell
viral
Biggie-
on Instagram.
I'll tell Biggie to his face. I'll tell Biggie to his face. Just and when I saw him in November, and the year before that, I'll tell Biggie to his face. Yes, I call him Biggie because that's his nickname.
I just
Okay.
like that you have the Phil Mickelson tan and eyes right now. You're good.
Mhm.
Do I look stoned or drunk?
No. It's just the red eyes from being out in the sun all day.
I know,
VJ's a
dude.
funny guy.
I love Biggie.
He's like,
He is funny.
he was playing in the Pro-Am at Wentworth a few years ago, and
He really is a prick, though. You know that.
He was playing with Sean Connery, right? So he goes up to Sean Connery and goes, "Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Singh, VJ Singh."
That's something VJ would do too. Oh, I love that guy. No, VJ's been great. He brought some great wine over to the house before my brothers and Pat stayed with him down there. And
Who's the craziest golfer you've ever instructed or worked with?
Craziest. Wow.
Yeah, kind of like not eclectic. What's the word that I'm looking for? Eccentric.
Eccentric. Yes.
Outlandish.
Yeah.
Well, I've worked with Poulter over
So
the years.
many. I love
Oh
Pulse.
yeah, I've dealt with Poulter.
Pulse great.
I have a voicemail from back in the day that he asked about 27 questions on a voicemail about his technology because I was in the technology industry back
Yes,
in the
you
day.
were.
And he asked about 27 questions on that.
He's the
voicemail.
Poulter gave me
when
shit.
I got on the phone
Very
with him,
smart guy. Very smart guy.
he actually asked all of
Yes,
those
he is.
questions without hesitation and thinking that I could repeat and answer all of those questions in order.
Really?
Yeah.
David's going down. No, Poulter is smart as shit. Poulter,
He is very eccentric.
he was quick with me on the second
You brought his name up
green.
a little while ago, Mike. Maybe the most outlandish, crazy to golf. It might have been Fulton Allen.
Oh, it has to be. Nobody's crazier than Fulton.
It's amazing. I worked with quite a few players who actually won the World Series of Golf. I don't know why. Like Dennis Watson won it, Nick Price won it, Fulton Allen won it, David Frost won it. All
They
from that
changed the
golf.
rules because of him.
Yeah,
The
they
Fulton
did.
Allen rule.
Yeah. So anyway, Fulty's famous story. I mean, I don't know if you remember his caddy, Bullet, right?
Of course, I had Bullet caddy for me
Oh,
at Children's Miracle Network because Elk set me up with him.
So anyway, Nick Price is staying.
I love Bullet.
They were playing together at Hilton Head, right? So Fulty 3 putts the first, 3 putts the second,
Matt, you'll love
walks
this.
off the third, and he says, "Give me that effing putter." Breaks the putter, walks up to the garbage can and just kicks this thing like 20 yards away. He says, put it. What else can I effing break? He says, how about powerfulty?
That's such a Bullet response, too. That's such a Bullet response. I'll never forget when Bullet left Elkington. He left the bag on the green. There were no more golf balls. He goes, I quit. You're a former caddy. Bullet. And he left. That's Elk. It's one of the greatest stories. But I had Bullet caddy from me.
I'll tell you one final story. Bullet was
that one will that ball's gonna run like a canine.
Yeah. So Bullet's on the 10th hole at Bay Hill, right? So anyway, so he hits his tee shot, and so Bullet says,
Matt Foley's crazy, by the way.
I got to go to the restroom. Okay, so I got to go to the restroom. So he goes to the restroom. He's doing number 2 there, right? Or whatever, I don't know, whatever it is in America. But anyway,
you're right.
Anyway, his yardage book fell out of his bag, okay, into the John, right? So
into the what?
Into the ball.
Into
the Biffy?
Yeah.
Did I hear Jung?
So now he's got to go in. He gets the yardage book out, right?
Oh, no.
Oh, shit. So anyway, he runs back to the bag, and the full team's down the fairway, right? So he grabs the towel, and he's cleaning off the bloody yardage book with a towel, right?
Oh, my God.
So here we go. So anyway, he gets to his, full team's ball. The full team's got whatever, 9-9, whatever he's got in that wedge, He says, hey, Bullet, give me the towel. This grip needs cleaning. So he grabs the towel and he cleans his grip. And he says, Bullet, this grip smells like shit.
Oh, that's the perfect ending. That's the perfect ending. Oh, God, David, you surprised me.
I could just hear Bullet and Folty going at it.
So,
those two idiots together. I mean, is there a better combination besides him and Elk? I don't think there is.
Listen, that is the best way to end a show right there.
Oh my God, I love those two.
With a number 2 story and some grips.
DLB, thank you so much.
Where can people go find the power shoot that we were talking about earlier?
They can go on leadbetter.com, or they can go on powershoot. I think it's powershoot.com, and they should try it out, because if you're interested in getting a little more distance,
they work.
Helping your technique along the way, and also actually having a little exercise incorporated. You don't have to go for a run. You just swing the power shoot maybe 20 times. I mean,
and you use your own club.
Yeah, use your own driver. Exactly.
Exactly.
It works perfect. So I love it. It's a great training aid. So
I can't wait to use it. And
I got you.
So as soon as I do, I'm gonna post a video on Instagram.
I'll get one sent to you.
Oh, perfect. I appreciate that. I'll get that. I'll start using it. I've got a simulator here that I'll start to.
We need to set this. Yeah, once we get in our studio.
We're getting into a studio, and we're gonna get the golf simulator set up.
Matt's got a great simulator. I mean, a big boy simulator that we.
Well, good luck.
But there it is. It came back, David. Came to
How's that vodka? There you go, JD.
Oh man. Anyway,
JD.
Show, guys, have fun, man.
It was a blast, David. Thank you so much for your time.
David,
so
thank you.
And what you're doing for Misha and everything is absolutely phenomenal. Here's round 3.
Shout out,
David Leadbetter. Shout out to David. And thanks again for coming on. Have a great night.
DLB, I love you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you for tuning in to Pole Hook Golf, the podcast. Make sure to hit subscribe and go to www.polehookgolf.com for more information.